Welcome back to Series 6 of Coparenting with Phancee Mediation. Today we're going to talk about if you should get your kids involved when it comes to co-parenting, if you should discuss it with them, what is an appropriate age to talk to them about it, and what are some of the ground rules that should be discussed when you're actually involving your kids into their new lifestyle. Co-parenting is definitely a lifestyle. A lot of people may think it's something that you have to do, but it's not. A lot of times people choose to go their own separate ways and parent from a distance. They don't want to talk to the other parent. They don't want to see the other parent. They don't want to have nothing to do with the other parent. However, they still want to stick around for their child. Some people do and some people don't. For those of you that do, let me give you a few tips. I think it's very important that you sit your children down and talk to them about the lifestyle change that they're about to endure. Co-parenting is not just something that is thought about overnight. Co-parenting takes time. Co-parenting takes two individuals to be respectful. Co-parenting takes two individuals to want it. The reason why you should tell your children is because your children is what's going to play a major part in the relationship that you all are about to grow with each other. What is an appropriate age to tell your children? Well, I do feel like if your children is 7 and older, it is something that you should discuss with them. I think you should discuss with them because by now they have entered grade school. They're probably around the first grade. They are actually themselves building new relationships with friends as well. So they're getting to see different people. They're getting to see different attitudes. They're getting to see how people are really supposed to interact with each other. But the first example that you want to set for your children is how do you interact with people that you just met or people that you're supposed to love and be close to. So yes, I do think it's very important that you sit your children down. And I'm not saying tell your children all of mommy's and daddy's business, but I do think that you should sit your children down and go over some ground rules for how your co-parenting relationship is going to work. I think in a co-parenting relationship, I think it's very difficult to play the game of good cop and bad cop simply because you want your kids to be comfortable talking to each one of you. You never want to put your children in a situation where they feel like they have to choose because they no longer live in the household with their parents. Now, when you're living in a household with your parents, it's very easy for your child to like one parent over the other. And that's perfectly fine. You all are living in a household together. That's coming. You always sometimes have one parent that's easier than the other. But when you all decide to go your separate ways, it's very important that you all have an equal playing field of how you all are going to parent that child. If you have a certain age, of when you want your child to date, it's very important that you discuss that. It's very important that you discuss, if you all are going to have sleepovers at your house with their friends from school. It's very important that you discuss, the things that they eat. It's very important that you discuss, what school that they're going to go to. And it's very important that you let your child know that this is the decision that mom and dad is making. This is not a decision where you can go to dad and say you want this. You can go to mom and say you want this. Always invite your children to those important conversations that you all need to have that's surrounding their future. Because the last thing you want to do is make a child feel like they can't talk to either one of you, so now they're talking to someone else outside of you, and that can cause a bunch of problems as well. But yes, you definitely should get your kids involved in your co-parenting relationships. You definitely should sometimes take what they have to say under advisement with each other and come back to them with why you are going to do it or why you're not going to do it. I think it's also very important that your children understand exactly the dynamic of your family atmosphere and how that's going to look. I think it's also important that, an adequate amount of time is spent in both homes so that child can get accustomed to going back and forth. And I do think that if you all don't live in the same school district, there should be some time where that other parent is definitely visiting that child's school. The other parenting is definitely going to that child's school, talking to the teacher, having lunch with that child. And that's where it should stop. No parent should be going to the school, talking to the child about what happened at daddy's house. No parent should be going to the school, asking the child if they're happy. Those are not conversations for school. When you go into your child's school, it should be a nice, positive visit to let your child know that you're there for them. You're going to stay involved in what they have going on. Anything outside of that should not be discussed in a school atmosphere. Number one, is embarrassing for the child, and number two, is embarrassing for the other parent. So don't create a lot of drama and unnecessary issues at the school where your child has to frequent. The next thing I want to discuss is how should you handle questions that your child have about your significant other. Well, those questions should be handled as if they had questions about you and their other parent. If that is somebody that you're going to be with, then you're going to also let them know that there are ground rules in that relationship as well. I do think it's important that you just always keep your children informed when co-parenting, because one conversation that slips through the crack can cause a whole big blow up, and that could be the end of your co-parenting relationship. I want to thank you for listening. I hope you take some of my advice, because it's something that is really going to help your new lifestyle. Thank you.